Okay, Steve Peters asks, hey Dave, there's been something I've been wanting to say, re-quote, women read minds, quote, for a long time now. I don't know if you share the Kingsley character's ideas on the subject, but I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like I've, I feel like I've probably experienced that phenomenon many, many times. But there's one instance that has always resonated more than any other. Like most red-blooded males, I have a tendency to check attractive women out when they're not looking. No, you don't really do that. I'm sorry, I'm just being facetious here. There was one occasion many years ago in which I was staring intently at a really hot woman who was walking ahead of me. Out of nowhere, she suddenly whipped her head around, looked straight at me, and just glared at me, really angrily, too. And I wrote next to that, what were you thinking? And it's like, I don't mean, what were you thinking looking at her? I think the pertinent element is, what were you thinking in your head about her being a really hot woman? You don't remember what you were thinking because whatever you were thinking got dislodged by the fact that she whipped her head around, looked straight at you, and glared at you really angrily. I would be willing to bet that you were thinking something that was just way over the line and thinking, well, I'm just thinking it. We're not passing laws against thinking. Well, not yet, but we're not a completely feminist society yet. Those links do take place telepathically. Steve goes on, I eventually learned to look away when looking at a woman if one started to turn her head, as if I'd just been looking around when she turned to look at me. And on some occasions, I've seen them turn and look at me out of the corner of my eye. It reminds me of interviews I've seen of women who were attacked by a stalker, and they talk about, say, walking down a dark street or an alley and suddenly having the feeling of being watched. What is that? How can they sense it? Beats me. I mean, I'm no stalker, just a bit of a creep, perhaps. But I never had any intentions beyond looking. Yet it still seems like some sort of self-preservation mechanism. And before we get to Steve, I think you added, this reminds me of Tracy Walters' line from Repo Man.
Yep, that was me.
Okay. A lot of people don't realize what's really going on. They view life as a bunch of unconnected incidents and things. They don't realize that there's this like lattice of coincidence that lays on top of everything. Give you an example. Show you what I mean. Suppose you're thinking about a plate of shrimp. Suddenly somebody will say like plate or shrimp or plate of shrimp out of the blue. No explanation. No point in looking for one either. It's all part of a cosmic unconsciousness. Okay. Yes, I know what you're talking about, Steve, and certainly I've thought about it extensively. I think one of the problems is that what we're talking about, women don't want to talk about it. It's none of our business. This is a woman thing, and if you're a man, just stay away from it, because I think it leads into areas where women go, we can't have a conversation about this. I can understand why men would be curious about this, but it's not going to happen. I would draw the analogy between the animal kingdom, where there are predators and there are prey. Men are predators, women are prey. That's just a given. So in the same sense that in the African savannah, a lion doesn't have the profound self-awareness that an antelope does. And the reason for that is because the lion's a lion and the antelope's an antelope. The lion doesn't have to have that because any other animal coming within range is either lunch or something that's easily avoided, or, okay, now we're going to get into a scrap, but I'm the lion, I'm the king of beasts, I'm probably going to win here. So one of the implications of that is that the antelope is far more finely attuned to everything on all levels of perception than the lion is. It's the reason that lions have to learn how to hunt, where you learn the difference between downwind and upwind. Because if you pick the wrong one, the antelope is going to know you're there, and as soon as you move, the antelope is gone. You have to stack the deck of all of the things that you're going to do to keep the antelope from, with that fine tuning, knowing what's going to happen and getting way out ahead of you on it. So I think it's analogous with women. If men were women, or if men had female nature, they would have those kinds of perceptions. So they would understand. This is why you really shouldn't stare at women, because they can feel it. They're finely enough attuned as strictly conscious human beings that, particularly the best looking ones, it's like that's the reason that they tend to marry guys who have private islands and stuff like that. It's like, finally, for the first time since I turned 13 or 14, I don't have this sense of every guy, the male gaze leaving fingerprints all over me, eye prints all over me. Yes, I'm a pretty hot piece of work. Go Google search hot women and look at them. Why are you staring at me? Well, because you're actually here. You're 5 feet away from me. You happen to cross the street at the same time that I was crossing the street, and I went, hi, and I'm sorry. I wish I could turn that off, but I only see one of you every 4 months. And now with COVID-19, it's like once every 6 months or 8 months. There are women who are head turners. There are women who turn heads, and there are women who snap necks. And if you're one of those women who snaps necks, that's just going to happen. It gets into very, very dicey areas because as you're saying, and you know, this is something we're also aware of as men. Women do have women's intuition, so consequently, that's where the rapist becomes problematic, because women do perceive that this guy is trouble, and they can make good decisions and bad decisions. I mean, we're talking about a profusion of finely tuned nerve endings and sensory alerts and telepathy and all of those things, coupled with the soul reacting, where it's not, you're not consciously aware of your soul, but your soul is telling you things. And that's why you get into these situations where rape victims will blame themselves. And women will immediately jump on them and say, no, it wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything. but we're talking about a level of perception, a level of self-perception, a level of fine-tuning where if a rape victim is blaming herself, that she picked up something and didn't obey that that perception at the exact moment that she should have and kept going. Because this intersects very badly with the same thing that as guys that we've all noticed, that the best looking women tend to pick really, really bad boyfriends and husbands, like thugs. And it's like, what is up with that? And it's, well, you know, if I'm the most beautiful woman, I'm looking for the strongest man. I'm looking for, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because I'm the meanest SOB in the valley. And, okay, that's the guy that I want. And, you know, that gets into, okay, what is up with bodice ripper novels that women are very, very fond of? Why, if you are completely horrified and repelled by rape, why are you reading about it? And why do you find this entertaining and engaging? And it's like, well, it's baked in. That's part of that fine tuning. The alpha male. There are good alpha males and there are bad alpha males. Exactly what Steve is talking about here. It's like you don't even want to make her uncomfortable. Not only would you not rape her, not only would you not fondle her or molest her or try to get physical with her, just the fact that she would turn around and glare at you, you change your behavior from that point on, because it's like, okay, whatever is going on here that I don't know about on this elevated perception level, I've got to be a lot more careful than I've been. And I think that's one of the things that's coming out of the Me Too situation is guys are learning, no, this is at a far more fine-tuned and refined level of you don't want to be intruding on that. It's not a matter of, no, you can't just walk up and put your arm around her and let your hand fall down a little too far because you're a famous guy or a powerful guy or you're the boss or you're her military superior or whatever. It's like, no. That is so far beyond civilization that we were long overdue for having something happen with that. All of the stuff that's going on with Andrew Cuomo. It's like, look at yourself in the mirror. It's like you're a creepy old man. As I said to the Kitchen family, there's two choices for a guy in his 60s. You can be a cog or a knock. You can be a creepy old guy or you can be a nice old guy. And it's like the nice old guy, if you happen to run across a woman accidentally and she's pretty, just go, good morning or hello. But don't go like, or don't say to her, wow, you are so pretty, because they're tired of hearing that. They already know that. But you know, with Andrew Cuomo, it's how would you feel if a 64-year-old woman came up and grabbed your face and kissed you? It would be like you'd be going for the bottle of Listerine. It's like, I don't want a 60-year-old woman kissing me. I don't want her grabbing my face. Well, neither does the 19-year-old or the 22-year-old where you're at the wedding and you go, oh, you're so pretty and you know that I'm the governor of New York, so you'll let me do this.
That's going back a bit in the thought process, one of the most profound things my father-in-law ever said to me, we were at a mall and my wife and my mother-in-law were shopping and we're just sitting on a bench people watching, and he's like, no two women have the same shake. And I just looked at him, I'm like, what? And he's like, the way they walk. And I'm like, he's right. No two women have the same shake. But it's the kind of thing that, as a guy, you can say to another guy, but if you were to say it at a dinner party, you'd probably be asked to leave.
Right. The same as it's funny in Some Like It Hot when Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis are watching Marilyn Monroe walking away from them the first time. And Jack Lemmon goes, I tell you, Joe, it's a whole other sex. Because he's looking at how Marilyn Monroe is walking. And Marilyn Monroe, of course, exaggerated, which is one of those things that women have a love-hate relationship with. It's like, oh, don't do that. Like, they already, look down there far too often for our taste. If you start doing that, then you're intentionally attracting their attention to that. But of course, Marilyn Monroe is a different Marilyn Monroe now in the popular consciousness, the movie goddess, the sex goddess, than she was in 1959 when they made Some Like It Hot. It is one of those. Most guys don't mean any offense by it. It's just. Speaking as a man who's about to turn 65, about the only thing that I really, really like is the unexpected pretty young girl. It's like, I'm sorry, my life is at a very homogenized level of get up in the morning, work for 12 hours, 6 days a week, and go to bed and get up and do the same thing, pray, fast, read scripture aloud. I don't really have anything in my life that just makes me go, oh, wow. And that's the only thing that makes me go, oh, wow. I don't go consciously, oh, wow. I'm hardwired for this. The National Post this morning has one of those little topper articles in the arts and life section, which I check that after I'm done reading the financial section and the news section, and it's Britney Spears talking about not being able to watch the whole Britney Spears documentary because it just made her cry, and she's been like crying for a month because it's a seriously disturbing thing for her to see the way the people who made this documentary are casting her as a person. Obviously, it's not how she pictures herself, but it's, we're going to have to do this if we're going to get you back your rights to control your own life and not have your father controlling your life. There's a little color photo of Britney Spears. They must have, at the National Post, dozens of them. But they printed the same photo like 3 or 4 times now, attached to this story and this documentary. And it's so cute. I mean, I don't even know what age she is in it. I don't know if it's recent or a few months ago or 10 years ago, but it's just so pretty, and it's sitting on top of my pile of newspapers, and it's like this has been a hell of a day. I got to tell you, and going, okay, now I got to do Please Hold for Dave Sim, starting at 5 o'clock. Just found out, Ontario is going into lockdown for a month. So it's like Victory Japan Day in Times Square all over Kitchener with everybody trying to run and get everything done before Good Friday lands and before the month-long lockdown lands. It's like not really a happy situation. More pretty girls out on the street than usual, but not a happy situation. Can I get my hair all shaved off before the end of today? Because otherwise, it's going to be a month and a half. And in and out and back and forth all the way around the house trying to get everything done in time. And it's like every time I walked into my bedroom, there's that little 1.5 by 1.5 picture of Britney Spears. And it's like, I feel better. I'm sorry. I know that Britney Spears doesn't want a 65-year-old man feeling better because he saw her picture. Britney, I'm really, 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 really sorry, but just seeing that picture of you, it makes me feel better.
Well, I mean, and again, it's not like you're buying a plane ticket to California to try to find her or anything stupid like that. It's just, it's the, there's a line in one of the Beastie Boys songs. I believe it's in the song Girls. No, I forget what song it is, but the line is, there's nothing better than a pretty girl's smile, and I haven't seen a smile that pretty in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
And it's at the same time, like I say, I understand to a degree that as someone who hasn't experienced it, what that is on the other side. That, one of the things that we haven't factored into this, or that hasn't factored into the discussion, is if she's still looking for Mr. Right. She's not married, or she's not engaged, or she doesn't have a boyfriend. She's in the entirely unenviable situation of experiencing all of this unwanted, unwelcome attention, the male gaze that she can feel, the male gaze that she's aware of telepathically, and is also always wondering, is that him? Because any one of them could be him, and that him is critically important to them. And again, talk about the unenviable situation. I want to get dressed up nicely today. I want my hair to come out right. I don't want it to be a bad hair day. I want all of my clothes and everything to match and set me off to my best advantage, because I never know when I'm going to meet him. But think of all of the attention that you get that way that you don't want. That it's, I didn't work on my hair for an hour and a half this morning, and I didn't go through 4 different outfits until I found something that matched my mood and make me look better. So you would stare at me. You're an old man. You're old and wrinkled up. I have absolutely zero interest in you. I'm not. The only thing that I could possibly be in that connotation is either a gold digger or a star effer, which is what the Andrew Cuomos are relying on. Somebody who's looking to sleep their way to the top, or is looking to become the girlfriend and consequently get in on all of the material side of being Andrew Cuomo's girlfriend. And it's like, you don't, as men, you don't understand, not only are very, very few of us like that, but the ones who are like that are really, really not well thought of on this team. So you even thinking that, hey, you never know. You take your choices and you try and work your opportunities, make your chances. It's like, no, that's completely disgusting. I feel like throwing up. And why should I feel like throwing up? Because of what this person that I don't even know from Adam suddenly is forcing upon me. And it's like, I think that's why what Steve is saying here definitely resonates with all of us. It's like, I really don't want to be that guy. Well, then don't be that guy. Your job is, if you're going to look at her, to make sure that she doesn't know that you're looking at her, and don't stare at her to the extent that you're burning holes in her psychic apparatus. It's I'm not. She's not there for that. Just get over yourself.
Right.
I think I got a couple of late questions here. Did I? There was...
Yeah. I sent something right before.
Here we are. I didn't dream that part. Second question. Hi, Dave. I have two questions this time. This is from Dan. Number one, did the continent of Africa always exist within the world of Cerebus, or was it retroactively added in later? My guess is that it's the former for a couple of reasons. The first being the judge's mention of not being able to swing a dead cat in Jerusalem, and the second being Bud Withers' attempt to call Oscar a sodomite. If those places, Jerusalem and Sodom, didn't exist beforehand, how else could the characters reference them? I'm being rhetorical. Actual second question below. Okay, let's deal with the first question there. I would turn that question around and say, did Africa exist before people inhabited it? Or is Africa a result of sentient and cognizant beings knowing what that is, which at a microcosmic level, yes, Jerusalem isn't technically in Africa, but it's very, very close to Africa, and Sodom wasn't in Africa, but it too is very, very close to Africa. How much of our reality is a creation of sentience and a creation of rational thought? And was the world completely different when beings didn't have the level of sentience that we do, and didn't have the memory that we do? That consequently, if you changed a lion's environment on a regular basis, I don't think the lion would register the fact that its environment had changed. It deals with reality and a constant now. All animals, I think, only deal in reality in a constant now. They don't have memory in the sense that we do. The highest levels of their consciousness are, here I am right now, this is what I'm looking at, these are the things that my instinct are telling me to do next. Do this thing, don't do that thing. because it's one of those. Whenever I get onto that discussion, I always come back to Neil Adams' expanding Earth theories, that the Earth is actually getting bigger, and the fact that anytime they try to build a model of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, an animatronic model that moves as a Tyrannosaurus Rex would have moved, the head snaps off. Neil's theory being, well, gravity wasn't in the time period of the dinosaurs the same that it is now, because the Earth is actually expanding. So there is more gravity now than there was back then. And it's like, I have a great deal of trouble trying to get around that that assertion, to say, well, no, it's. I still think it's crazy that people would think that the Earth could have expanded in the distant past. But we have to remember that the Earth has been here for 15 billion years, and all we really know about it, even at the most lunatic extreme of archaeology and whatnot, is maybe 5,000 years, 10,000 years, really pushing it 20,000 years. 20,000 years compared to 15 billion? There's a lot of room in there for the Earth to have been a number of things that all traces have just vanished. I mean, one of my theories is that oil must be something very different from what we think it is. It's not just the residue of dead dinosaurs. I don't think there's enough dinosaurs who could die in a single place to create the pools of oil that exist in northern Alberta, that exist in Texas, that exist in Saudi Arabia. So to me, it's got to be something else that happened sometime in the last 15 billion years that produced this, that Mother Earth, the YHWH, really, really doesn't like, because it's a really, really unhappy memory. And if you dig it out of the ground and you make it into a liquid that powers vehicles, I think it probably communicates very, very explicitly what it actually is. And it's something that the YHWH really, really would like to just forget and eradicate from the Earth's history, which is why environmentalists are so pathological about carbon and so pathological about fossil fuels. Part of them must know that wind and solar are never going to do it on their own. And if you're not going to add nuclear or something else like that into the mix, you're just kidding yourself. And I think it's because the YHWH has occupied all women's minds with, we have to get rid of oil. And I'm not going to tell you why we have to get rid of oil, but we have to get